You know, leaving a narcissist isn't as simple as breaking up and deleting their number. If it were that easy, you wouldn't be in this much pain. The truth is, walking away from them feels more like escaping a mental trap, one where there are no visible chains, but you still feel completely stuck. They don't control you with violence or shouting. They use your kindness to keep you bound. They make you believe, if I just love more, tolerate more, try harder, everything will finally get better. So, while you think you're trying to fix a relationship, in reality, you're slowly losing yourself. So understand this, you don't defeat a narcissist by outsmarting them, confronting them, or forcing yourself to be stronger than them. The real breakthrough happens when you stop playing, when you stop trying to explain, stop trying to make them happy, and stop letting their reactions dictate your emotions. You finally ask yourself, what about me? What about my feelings, my needs? And then, there comes a moment small but incredibly powerful when you realize you're no longer afraid of their reactions. They might rage, go silent, insult you, or even beg you to stay, but inside, you don't crumble anymore. Your heart doesn't panic when their name lights up on your screen. You start breathing easier. You stand there, not shouting back, not trying to prove anything. You just observe them like watching a scene you've decided not to take part in anymore. And that, right there, is when you take back ownership of your own soul. And in today's video, we're going to look at 5 clear and powerful signs that you've truly broken free from a narcissist, no longer controlled, no longer drained, and finally, coming back to yourself. And then, when you begin to look at yourself with a more awakened clarity, you'll notice something. The first sign, when they can no longer control you. In the beginning, you don't even realize you're playing a game whose rules keep changing. They reel you in with sudden affection, making you believe that love only requires more effort, more patience. But in reality, it's just an emotional fishing hook. Every time you're about to walk away, they throw you another scrap of hope, and you cling to it. A narcissist doesn't just control your actions, they control the way you see yourself. They make you believe, I am the problem. If I just loved better, waited longer, everything would be different. They create emotional storms and position themselves as the only source of warmth afterward. But one day, often after too many disappointments, you start to see the pattern: intense affection, sudden devaluation, then cold silence. And when the light of truth breaks in, you stop. You no longer chase their apologies. You no longer demand a proper conversation. You simply stop reacting. You start saying no, calmly, without drama, but with certainty. In that very moment, the narcissist panics, because for them, control isn't just a preference, it's oxygen. They will try every trick they know, accusing you of being ungrateful, begging with lines like, no one will ever love you like I do, blaming you for their pain, or worse, giving you the silent treatment as if you never mattered. But this time, you don't move, you don't tremble, you don't explain. And that's when the last string snaps, not because you defeated them, but because you stepped off the board entirely. That is the moment their power dissolves, and your freedom begins. Next, there's something else you need to understand, and it happens quite naturally once you begin to wake up. The second sign, when they lose their mask. Do you remember those first days? They appeared almost too good to be true, charming, confident, thoughtful, and wildly kind. But in reality, all of it was just a mask, carefully crafted like a lead actor performing their most important role. And that role can only exist if there's an audience, and that audience was you. They needed your admiration, your validation, your belief in the grand narrative they told about themselves. But once you stop fueling the performance, once you stop praising, excusing, and forgiving without question, cracks begin to show. They start to get irritated at simple questions, triggered by small disagreements, and defensive when confronted with even gentle truth. Suddenly, you become the problem. You've changed, you're ungrateful, you're disrespectful. But in reality, what you've changed is not yourself, it's where you're looking. You're no longer looking up at them with adoration. You're looking through them with clarity. And that gaze alone is enough to loosen the mask. Once the mask truly falls, who stands before you is not the powerful figure you once believed in. It's someone fragile, frightened of being exposed. They might cry, play the victim, or worse, twist the story and turn you into the villain in their version of events. Not because they miss you, but because they miss having someone who reflected back the image they needed to believe in. And here is where you must stay grounded. Your compassion, as beautiful as it is, can easily become the rope that pulls you back into their lie. They will weaponize pity to keep you in the loop. Don't be fooled, you're not destroying them. You're simply stepping away from holding up a castle made of sand. And gradually, you'll come to recognize something you never thought possible before. The third sign, when you are no longer afraid of them. To a narcissist, your fear is their leash, the core of their power. They know exactly what you fear: being abandoned, being disliked, being labeled as the bad one. They twist your emotions around these fears until you're constantly on edge, constantly trying to keep the peace. Sometimes, all it takes is a frown, a cold silence, or a sudden withdrawal, and you find yourself rushing to fix things. But then one day, not a grand, cinematic moment, just a small breath of weariness and clarity, you stop. You no longer respond like you used to. You don't wait for their message like an addict. You stand there, face to face with their anger or their pitiful performance, and you no longer feel like the scared little version of yourself. In that moment, you understand something soul deep. Your fear was never a reflection of their power, but of the power you gave them to define you. Once you take back that power, they no longer feel threatening. You see their rage for what it is, a tantrum. They were never a giant, just a wounded child throwing things because they lost control. Yes, they will try every tactic. Silent treatment as punishment, guilt trips with tears, sweet words to pull you back. But it's as if you've quietly removed the batteries from their remote Nebo. They keep pressing buttons, but nothing in you moves anymore. And in that stillness, you realize something you always deserved to know. Real love never requires fear. No one who truly loves you will need you to shrink, lose sleep, or tremble over their mood swings. Real love feels peaceful, steady, and the moment you stop being afraid, you are already halfway out of their control. And then one day, you'll watch them from a distance and suddenly, everything will make sense like a scene from a familiar play. The fourth sign, when they quickly seek a new supply. One of the most painful yet revealing things you'll witness after leaving a narcissist is how quickly they move on. While you're still gathering the pieces of your broken trust, they've already posted photos with someone new, smiling, glowing, acting like they've found true love. But make no mistake, this is not love. This is strategy. To a narcissist, love is not a soul connection, it's emotional fuel, a mirror in which they can admire their own greatness. And just like an addict always searching for the next hit, they rush to find someone new the moment you stop supplying them. At first, it stings. How can they move on so fast? Is that person better than me? But when you look closer, you'll see the same old cycle: idealization, control, criticism, collapse. What's remarkable is how your heart changes. Instead of jealousy, you feel relief. Because you finally see the truth. They never loved you. They don't love the new person either. They only love the reflection of themselves in someone else's eyes. The new person isn't the one that truly understands them. They're just a new mirror. Meanwhile, while they keep replaying the same tragedy with a different actor, you're quietly rebuilding your life grounded in truth, awake to reality, gentle with yourself. And ironically, every time they find someone new, it becomes even clearer. You were never the problem. You were simply the one brave enough to walk away. And finally, there is something no one needs to explain to you. You'll feel it in your soul. The fifth sign, when you feel true peace. This is not the uneasy calm you felt after giving in to avoid a fight. It's not the quiet that comes from shutting down just to get through the day. This is something deeper, quieter, a peace that rises from within, like realizing you've finally stepped out of quicksand and found solid ground beneath your feet. After breaking free from a narcissist, there's a strange emptiness at first. No more frantic messages, no more sudden rage or sugary sweet promises. At first, the silence feels unnatural because chaos has become your rhythm. But slowly, you begin to notice something. Silence no longer scares you. You're no longer tense, waiting to see if they'll explode or if you said something wrong. You're no longer performing for peace. And here's the most priceless part. You begin sleeping better, breathing deeper. You no longer wake up at 3 in the morning with a heavy chest, feeling guilty for things you never did. Your mind no longer circles around them. They may still exist, perhaps angry, perhaps spreading drama somewhere, but none of it reaches you anymore. You no longer need their apology. You no longer need to prove anything. You're not waiting for them to finally appreciate you. All of those hopes fall away like dust, and in that space, you hear your own voice again. What do I want? What do I deserve? And when the answer rises quiet but powerful, you understand. This isn't just leaving, it's freedom. And then, after everything you've survived, the heartbreak, the manipulation, the sleepless nights, the moments when you thought your spirit might crack, you rise, steadier, clearer, not with noise, not with vengeance, not because anyone is watching. Winning against a narcissist was never about defeating them, exposing them, or proving you were right. It's an inner victory, silent but irreversible. You walk through pain, lies, and confusion, only to arrive somewhere they can no longer reach. A place where their voice no longer echoes, and their shadows no longer haunt you. Looking back, you realize something profoundly simple. The narcissist was never as powerful as you once believed. They only appeared so because you were bent over. Their rage was just noise. Their promises, bait. Their love, if it ever existed, was nothing more than a glossy veneer covering a hollow core. But the moment you truly see this, not just with your mind, but with the quiet certainty of the soul, you break free. You no longer need their apology. You no longer need them to suffer. You no longer wait for them to finally recognize your worth. You only need this, your own peace. And the deepest irony of all is this: they were never fighting you. They were fighting the truth you quietly embodied. And when you leave, truth in hand, they stand with no more illusions to cling to. That is their defeat. You, on the other hand, you walk away not with bitterness, not with regret, but with a new self, stronger, clearer, kinder to yourself than ever before. You finally understand a truth we should all learn sooner. It was never my job to protect them from reality. It was always my job to protect myself from illusion. And in the end, you return to yourself. That is true, eternal freedom. If you're watching this and quietly thinking, "This is me, I'm trapped like that," then please hear this. You are not crazy. You are not too sensitive. You are not asking for too much. You are simply in an environment where your soul is not safe. So, trust your intuition, even if it whispers. If something feels wrong, it usually is. Start small, set a boundary. Say no once, step away, even silently if that's all you can do right now. And remember, you do not need to be strong all at once. Just take one small step, quietly, but take it in the right direction. Freedom doesn't start when they change. It begins the moment you say, "I won't lose myself anymore." You deserve peace. And you are not alone.